welcome viewers. I am Pia and you're watching NewsX World's special coverage of the SCO summit in Tianjin. The 2025 Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit is all set to open, bringing together over 20 leaders to address regional security, counter-terrorism, trade, energy, digital cooperation, food security and issues such as Belarus's membership in the organization as well. Russian President Vladimir Putin has arrived in China for a 4-day visit. He will first attend the SCO summit in Tianjin, then travel to Beijing for talks with Xi Jinping and attend a military parade marking the surrender anniversary of World War II. Also arriving for the summit are Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Kyrgyz President Sadar Japarov, Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev and Maldivian President Mohammad Muizzu. Muizzu, in fact, has also held a meeting with Xi Jinping in the meanwhile. Key highlights of the event is definitely going to be the bilateral meeting between the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Remember, this is the bilateral meeting that is going to be held after the one that was held earlier in Kazan at the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Russia after a border truce in October 2024. This is a crucial meeting because Modi is in China after 7 years. Despite ongoing border tensions, Prime Minister Modi's presence signals India's pragmatic approach to engage through multilateral platforms, especially at a time when the United States is imposing steep tariffs. Meanwhile, Putin's presence comes amidst the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, adding further weight to the summit. Meanwhile, the 25th anniversary of the SCO comes at a time of sharp global conflicts and internal frictions as well, with leaders seeking to bolster energy security and digital defenses and position the Shanghai Cooperation Organization as a counterweight to Western blocs such as NATO. On that note, viewers, let's head across live to Shenzhen, where my colleague and our senior executive editor, Megha Sharma, is bringing the latest updates, exclusive insights. Good morning, Megha. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. What's happening on the ground? What can we expect? It's quite a power-packed day, slew of bilaterals, and then there's going to be a dinner in the evening as well.
Right, absolutely, Pia. You know, what we're getting, the latest information that we are at this point of time receiving is that the Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has already arrived in Tianjin, so has the Armenian Prime Minister, Vietnamese Prime Minister, Kyrgyzstan President. They all have arrived today in Tianjin. They have just arrived a short while ago. We also got information that President Putin, the Russian head of state, has also landed here in Tianjin. Now, there are going to be a number of bilaterals that will take place. From the Indian side, it is going to be Prime Minister Narendra Modi who's going to be holding a bilateral with Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping yesterday, in fact, had a series of bilaterals even as these leaders started pouring in to Tianjin, including the Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who held that 45-minute conversation with the President of China. Alongside that, there were bilaterals that were also held between Xi Jinping as well as the Egyptian president. We had a number of bilaterals that had taken place between Xi Jinping and the Myanmarese president, the Cambodian prime minister, the Nepalese prime minister. So these bilaterals have already happened. Remember, there are 24 of these countries. 10 of them are the member states of the SCO forum. There are 14 others which are dialogue partners or have the observer status. Amongst them, key are Turkey. We also see that Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, they all are participating at this summit. So it's a big ticket event. There are a number of countries, some of them from Southeast Asia, a few of them from the Middle East, several of them from Central Asia, who are also, of course, a big part of what the SCO summit is. who all and a couple of countries from East Europe, which includes Russia as well as Belarus, which is now the latest entrant and part of the SCO summit. So these are the big ticket items that are scheduled to take place. Mind you, at 6:30 p.m. local time, Beijing time, is when Wang Yi who's the foreign minister of China, is going to be holding a press conference, and after the press conference is going to be the official reception that is going to be hosted by President Xi Jinping, who is then going to welcome in official capacity all the 24 heads of the states that are participating and international leaders of international organizations that are participating in this event.
Indeed, Megha, you've spoken about the arrivals. Vladimir Putin has just arrived in China. He's set to meet Xi Jinping as well. He'll be staying back after the summit. He'll be heading to Beijing for the 80th anniversary of the Chinese victory in World War II over Japanese forces, as the parade is set to be held on the 3rd of September. There's a bilateral meeting that is slated to be held between the two leaders as well, which comes at a time when, yes, the United States is putting a lot of pressure on Russia to end its war with Ukraine. So what can we expect on this front?
Right. It is going to be important. The two big bilaterals that everybody is eyeing is the one that is going to happen between President Putin and Xi Jinping. The other one, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping. There is, in fact, a third bilateral between the three RIC leaders, which is going to be happening between India and Russia. So, but besides that, in fact, there is an important meeting that will happen on the sidelines of this summit that is going to happen between President Putin and the President of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian. Now, this is in wake of these nuclear talks and the stalemate that has happened amidst growing pressure and threats of sanctions that have been leveled by the E3 nations, which includes Britain, France, and the United Kingdom. Russia has been very vocal in its support to Iran in helping build its nuclear program, but the sentiment is not shared by the European countries, or for that matter by United States of America. So that is going to be an important chat that is going to happen between the leaders of Iran and Russia. And in the meantime, of course, when we talk about India and Russia, it's been spoken at length about these additional 25% tariffs that have been imposed by the US administration on India for purchasing Russian oil. But Russia continues to be steadfast in its support to India, in fact, talking even about potentially providing a 5% additional discount on the crude imported by India from Russia. And there could now be opportunities that may arise of further exploration of increased trade relationship, further opening up the markets between Russia and India. And how more can, ties be further burgeoined vis-a-vis trade, vis-a-vis opening up markets, and something similar that is also going to be played out when Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping hold those talks, because up until in the last 5 years, there have been markets that have been restricted, both from Chinese side as well as Indian side. There have been a number of exports from China that were restricted, particularly when we talk about fertilizers and tunnel boring machines, as well as rare earth minerals that are integral for Indian production to increase, whether it is about electric vehicles, or we talk about electronics, or even the pharmaceutical industry that is heavily reliant on the ingredients that are imported from China, which had up until now stopped, or their import had been stopped because of the Galwan clashes that had taken place back in 2020. But all these things seem to be a matter of the past, at least for the interim period, even as both countries continue to face the onslaught of the US president's tariff war that has obviously left a bad taste in India and China's mouth.
Absolutely, Megha. Thank you so much for joining us live this morning, of course, providing all these latest details as well as perspective as far as what is transpiring on the ground. Meanwhile, joining us